Jolín, tenéis hasta cementerio propio. ¿Quién está enterrado aquí?
Familiares.
This was an absolutely stunning film. Just a beautiful visual quality throughout. The cinematography is just fantastic in that regard. Uh, every frame looks very thoughtfully crafted, which really lends itself to the tone of the film, because the whole thing just is quite a masterclass. The writing is great, the performances are fantastic, and even the locations are just marvelous. Really, just a lot of great choices were made making this film, and they absolutely all paid off.
The Old Lady, I loved this. I thought the story was really interesting and really intriguing and really fascinating to kind of be the audience member that is figuring out as we're going along and trying to piece together where the story is kind of headed. From you have this older woman who's taking care of this elderly woman, and you kind of just right off the bat don't really like her just because of the way that she's talking about the person that she's supposed to be helping. I think that was done strategically to not really endear that character to the audience, and that automatically kind of puts you on the elderly woman's side, apart from the fact that as an audience member, if we see somebody that like clearly needs help, that person kind of automatically gets not a free pass, but they get the benefit of the doubt. And I feel like for the audience, that kind of endears the us to that character, especially if they like need help and they're kind of struggling. It's like rooting for the underdog, or getting the compassion within the audience. And then when she is really tired and she gets more tired and the old woman doesn't look quite as bad off anymore, you kind of start to have this idea of like, oh, there's something else going on, there's more involved. We're already kind of in this creepy castle, but clearly it's more of a modern time, trying to piece it all together. And then once the daughter comes and everything kind of unfolds and they have a great time, they really connect. Clearly there's tension between what ends up being the stepmom and the daughter, and I think that they played everything really, really well, and they set up the reveals really, really well, because then when you finally figure out that is her grandmother, I think mother is what she said, you can already see the chemistry between the two of them. You can already see that kind of budding relationship. And when she chooses to give her gift, just like reflecting back like her dad did, and I think it's really beautiful, and just really interesting, because then you as the audience, you kind of get left on this like quandary of what is this woman gonna now do with this gift. She's a nurse, so she's around people all the time, and her whole goal is to help people, nurse them back to health. So to have a gift that gives you a longer life by taking the energy from others, I think is a really, really interesting kind of quandary to be in. And it definitely left me wondering, like, what is she gonna decide? What's she gonna do? Is she gonna completely ignore it? Is she gonna embrace it in some kind of way? But it definitely left me really curious, which I think is a fantastic thing to be able to do if at the end of your film the audience is still invested in the characters and wants to know what would happen next. I think that's a great kind of hallmark of really well told story.
The Old Lady. The filmmakers did such a beautiful job with the cinematography, especially all of the shots that were outdoors and the aerial photography that they did. Oh my God, it was just absolutely amazing. Really good acting. I liked a lot of the acting that was in this, and between mother and daughter. The filmmakers set up the story really well. This was definitely a slow burn. I mean, and it ramped up and ramped up. They gave you just enough to keep you invested in what was going on. Yeah, the story was really interesting, and it was a nice twist at the end.
The Old Lady was a fun watch. I thought the horror elements were great, and I do think that at times the CGI on certain parts of the film felt very obvious. But overall, I thought the story was fascinating and a joy to watch, given a dark, dark atmosphere with the film, as well as the viewing this the dark descent of an older woman, which you wouldn't necessarily see or find in horror films. So well done.